Bethany Scott here, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing a little something different. It's not paper crafting. It's actually a design that I created and made into an SVG, and we are going to cut it because this is for a special order. Someone ordered it's a collaborative project, I should preface. Someone asked for a special design on vinyl that when looking online for faux leather vinyl, you can't really find something that really fit the specific design. And so I'm experimenting for Try It Tuesday, and we are going to make, I will make hair bows, and then my mom will be making a backpack. So I'm going to show you what I have on my screen. Over here I have my my smiley faces, and that is for my mom's backpack. That's for the specific special order. And then down here you'll see I have music notes. So what I did was we pre-cut out the vinyl. My mom put her interfacing on the and this is faux leather vinyl, not just regular vinyl. She put her interfacing for the backpack, and I created the SVG in order to cut out an HTV, so heat transfer vinyl, and place it on the materials. So you can see what it looks like. And what I'm going to do in Cricut is I'm going to go ahead and select make, and because it's a longer cut, you'll see that, and I'm not going to show you the front end of the designing. That just took too long. It was very tedious. But basically, the goal is to be able to cut out both SVGs on a single sheet, and we'll make sure they're mirrored. I have very long cuts of HTV. Alright, both are mirrored. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to weed them and then press them and hopefully create the design. Let it finish loading. It's a large SVG, so it's even having troubles finding my machine too. So it takes a hot second. Alright, now that it's connected, I'm going to set my base material as Sport Flex Iron-On. The material I'm using is actually the StarCraft Soft Flex, which means it's a very low heat press and also a very low pressing time. It's actually between 5 and 8 seconds. Okay, so you can see that my design is about 10.5 inches by 16 inches on my mat. I'm not going to show you loading my mat just because my camera is very far away from my from my Cricut machine. It's all the way back there in the back of the room. I did actually want to show you how I put it on my mat, because I don't have a straight cutter with a ruler long enough to show me that I have 16 inches on the mat. What I'm going to do instead is actually just lay my full roll as carefully as possible. Again, glossy side down, vinyl side up, so the dull side. And I'm cutting both of these prints out in black vinyl. And it's going to take some patience. It is definitely not easy. But I am going outside my normal boundaries. And then I'm going to grab my scraper as well as my brayer. So the scraper I have, I'm just going to gently scrape down the air bubbles. And then my brayer, once those air bubbles are gone, I'll just make sure that it's firm to the mat. This is actually an older Cricut mat. It's a 24-inch mat, but I've had it for a long time, and in fact it has one of the older patterns, like from 10 years ago. So this just seemed to be the lesser used of my 24-inch ones, which is kind of weird for me, but anyways, and then because past the 16 inches, it's really not going that far down. I'm really not gonna worry too much about the back or the bottom, but I do want to make sure as many bubbles as possible are removed and debris. Alright, so now I'm going to load the machine and cut and be right back. Alright, it has finished cutting after what felt like an hour or so, but I'll show you, I did do a test weed to make sure that it did fully cut through before unloading it. If it did not fully cut through, I would have just pressed my go button right again and gone ahead and done that. So I'm going to speed through the weeding of this because it's going to feel like it takes another hour or so. So we'll see. I'll time it though, so you all know how long it actually does take me. And isn't this final peel back just so satisfactory to watch, even in fast motion? And there's the big reveal. Look at how fun. I had to take some extra time to get some of the smiley faces back on. Some of the eyes came off. That's pretty typical when you're using a cutting machine. Sometimes that happens. It's not as clean of a cut as a die cutting machine, just for the simple fact that the blade is going around corners and sometimes it cuts the corner too close. So now the next step is to put this on top of the vinyl. Here you can see that the stabilizer is already on here for the bag. And now here's where we see if my measurements were accurate. Knowing that some of this vinyl, especially on the edges, will not adhere, and that's perfectly fine. It's getting cut down anyways, so I'm not super concerned about it, but I want to make sure that I give it a good opportunity to adhere as best as possible, because look, we just made our very own pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and heat press this at 208 degrees. 285 degrees, my fault. 285 degrees for 8 seconds. And for the record, it took about an hour to actually cut the HTV vinyl out on the Cricut machine, but only 42 minutes for me to weed it. So it wasn't as close as I thought, but definitely a very large amount of time just to get this done. So this is the tedious part. This is actually warm peeling. So I am going back and forth with high pressure on my Cricut Mini and slowly peeling, because some of those little smiley faces are coming off as I slow peel, because this is considered a hot peel vinyl. It takes time, and then I'm just cutting the scissors back so I have a little, so I don't, if I end up having to stop in the middle, I don't have to redo some of my hard work. And just going back and forth, double checking that the smileys, none of the smiles are lifting, none of the eyes are lifting, because it's happening. And just being patient with myself. So I'll speed through this, but I wanted to let you know how I'm keeping a warm peel an actual warm peel. And I'm using a hefty amount of pressure from the heat press mini as I'm doing that warm peel. So I'm not just putting a little light pressure, I'm putting full pressure behind there. And then using my tweezers anytime something lifts or gets funky. Alright, now before I finish my project and hand it off to the designer who's making the bag, I'm going to do one final press with the Teflon sheet, covering it just to adhere to the actual bumps. That's what I do every time I do an HTV, whether it's a t-shirt, whether it's vinyl, whatever it is. I do that one last adherement with just a Teflon sheet between the product and the heat press. So I will be right back. And I only do it for about 2 seconds. And there you have the finished product. Look at how beautiful it is. It looks like it was printed on purpose. And unless you're analyzing it really well, you'll see one little bump right there I could not fix, but it's not super noticeable in the overall pattern. And honestly, yes, it's tedious. Yes, it took a lot of time, but it actually turned out even better than I anticipated. So I'm glad I did this project. So now I'm going to go do the music notes and be right back. All right, and you can see I went back and forth a lot of times, lifting it up to the light to see better where there were cuts that I was missing in the inserts, but this honestly took me longer to weed than the smiley faces, surprisingly enough. And I think it was mostly just because there's so much to weed through. Definitely having to go back and forth. The pattern is a square repeat, but it's, I believe there's only 3 blocks of each repeat, and so definitely easy to miss some things as I was working through it, but definitely soothing if you enjoy that kind of weeding. And looking at it and switching the angles really does help a lot in terms of finding where all of the pieces are for the inserts, because seriously, every time I turned my sheet, I found more. And while I could have left some of the inserts, because I still technically made a musical note, it just bugged me. Every time I turned it, I saw another part that needed to be removed, and we did. So anyways, there's the finished weeding, and now I'm going to go ahead and cut down my faux leather and be right back. All right, I have my faux leather laid out, and basically she's a little undercut. She wasn't a true 16 inches, apparently, so we'll have a little bit of overage on a couple of sides here, but for the most part, edge to edge print. All right, now I'm gonna go heat this up and be right back. I also want to show you a nifty tool I got off of Amazon, which is a desk cleaner vacuum. And I just pick up all those little tiny pieces very quickly, very easy. And it just goes right into the insert. And when I'm done, just wiggle the top off without making a giant mess. And look at there, voila, there's all my little insert pieces. All right, and this one was pressed a little more evenly, so while there's going to be a little bit of lift for some of these parts because they are right on the edge, creatively going to just make it happen. So I have that mini press back on the lowest heat setting. A lot of pressure though, or it will not work. The nice thing is there's no like major amount of dots or long pieces that will easily lift. So this portion of removing the carrier sheet should not take a whole lot. There we go. Nice and pretty. So I'm going to put it one more time through with a Teflon sheet over, and I'm ready to go cut my bows. All right, I have my Cricut mat, and I am using the Strong Grip mat, but you can see it's been around the block a few times. So I'm actually going to use a paper crafter trick, which is a little bit of pixie spray. Paper crafters use these for putting their stencils better on their paper. I use it for faux leather when my faux leather is got a little bit of extra lift going on. So I let it set for a couple seconds, scrape it off if there's any extra bulge. Right here you can see there's a little bit of fabric bulge, and then I will adhere it and cut it. And then I use a brayer to bray it down every time, and reinforcing all of my mats, even if it's a strong grip mat that's brand spanking new, although I will risk it occasionally when I'm lazy or just don't have the time or energy. But I like to use painter's tape. Painter's tape goes a long way to saving a mat from destruction and your materials from destruction. I swear by it. I've been doing it for basically since the beginning of my faux leather days, and I will not go back because I lost too many materials in the beginning when I was being lazy and not putting my painter's tape down. All right, and now I am ready to go cut. All right, so I have in my Cricut the faux leather bow template, and I am going to go ahead and click make it. And it looks like I can make 11. Perfect. All right, so 11 it is. And then I will hit continue, connect to my machine. I'm also going to go ahead and move I make wristlets. I'm going to just move one on over to my mat because I have some extra space to make a musical note wristlet as well. That's just a faux hack that I have. And go ahead, and this faux leather, I've worked with a similar one before, so I'm going to do faux leather paper thin, but with the more setting. It should cut out just fine with my fine cut blade, and I'm going to go ahead and run it through off screen and be right back. I'll see how cute the design came out. There's a few pieces of faux leather that I'm going to just end up having to cut out by hand, but you can see this will be the faux leather front, and then they asked for the backing to be the same color pink, and of course I don't know why my screen today is super yellowed, but it's a lot brighter pink than what you guys see. But regardless, I will show you the final results of the cute little bows, and just trust that I haven't changed my process since the last time I made a bow. And I hope to be also able to share with you my mom's final product of the smiley face backpack. I just wanted to show you how cute these turned out. They are really fun, and definitely going to try some other designs, other styles. This, yes, it was a lot of weeding, but definitely worth it for the final result. I will also share with you when the bag is complete what that looks like as well. So the bag has been completed. Look at how cute that is. You would have never known that this was HTV unless you watched this video. Really, it looks seamless. It looks like it's part of the fabric or the pattern. It is a little raised, but so is the pebbling on the faux leather, and my mom used the same faux leather on the panels and the sides, and she even found herself a nice little pulley, a smiley face pull. So definitely really cute, really great craftsmanship, and I know for sure that the person who special ordered this is going to love this for the gift she's giving. And then one more time, I'm going to show you the bows, how they looked finalized, and yeah, I am loving them. I'm going to put them on our packaging here, and this is how I package everything. We have our shop's QR code, so if anyone wants to shop online, like this client found us on our website and filled out a form to special order these gifts for her family. So this is really cool. I'm really excited for the client to get this, and I cannot wait to see her reaction. So thank you all for joining me on another Try It Tuesday. This definitely intimidated me because not that it's HTV on faux leather, it's just simply because it happens to be something that was large print, meaning I was weeding 14 inches by 6 inches and weeding, what was the other dimension? 10.5 by 15 3/4. Like, the dimensions were large. So that means if I messed up in one spot and I had to redo the entire thing, yeah. So thankfully it turned out beautiful and great, and my mom turned her part of the special order into something amazing. I have mine. I am ready to package it up and send her a message saying, come pick up your special order. Otherwise, I thank you all for joining us today. I will have links down below to our shop. If you want to shop, if you have a custom order, you have a Valentine's gift you want to give, you want, you've done your Christmas shopping, but you have a birthday coming up, just like we have a birthday. Happy birthday, Dad. It's this week. Yay. Anyways, and just definitely share our shop. I would love it if you just click the link and copy and paste it and send it to your friends and say, hey, this is my friend. She and her family are ready to make some really great things. I am only down to, okay, I have now 3 things left to make because I got a few more special orders this week. So I took some orders past the 10th. Oops. We won't talk about that. But anyways, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Don't forget to find the joy in your day and happy making. Bye.